And welcome to Concho Sports High School Football Preview. On this episode, the Wall Hawks. I'm Russ Howard. I'm joined by Coach Craig Slaughter and by Coach Larry Holscher. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yep. So we're going to talk a little bit just about obviously changes this year. Give us a little background on, maybe people have been asleep under a rock and don't know anything about the Wall Hawks. How did you come to hold the position head coach at Wall?
I've been a head coach for 17 years in my career. I married a Wall Hawk 26 years ago. I didn't know the rules where you had to go back home and raise your kid, and it's a great place. And my wife, a great lady. But we had always talked about, we have one daughter that's going to be a senior this year, and all along, your career, you get to know certain coaches, and me and Coach Guy actually grew up together. He's a couple years older than me. We both played for my dad in Winters. Just over the years, you just, hey, don't think I'm not interested, if something comes up. And anyway, the Coach Walling, Jamie Walling, the DC, retired 7 years ago. And, Coach Guy called and wanted to know if I, wanted to come visit with him about the opening. And again, at the time, just, Wall football as it still is, was just absolutely one of those, programs. It's, you're like, dang right, I'd love to come visit with you. And, it's been a great, 7 years. Coach Guy was a great guy to work for. And again, the program, the community, it's such an awesome thing to be a part of. And obviously, just a unique, transition this year. But yeah, now I'm going to go from DC to the head spot. I'm excited.
So we're going to talk a little bit about offense, defense, schedule, all those kind of things. But let's talk a little bit about your history. You mentioned head coach for 17 years previously. Clyde, Sweetwater, where else? Llano.
My first one actually was my first head job was Hearn. I was a 27-year-old just looking for any opportunity I could, and I found one that I didn't even know I was really looking for, and ended up being a great spot. Was able to to have enough success that we turned that into Clyde, which and again really loved my time in Clyde. Very fortunate. I was there, with some really good coaches, really good players. Turned that into Sweetwater. And again, part of that is along the way, you're kind of, you're getting some pay raises, as you go. And, Sweetwater, didn't work out near as well. There was some wonderful people there, just the circumstances, what you were hoping for, didn't go as good as you wanted. And, so we stayed there 3 years, then went to Llano for 5 years. And again, did some good things there, but, we decided when Wall called to, that's too good an opportunity to pass up, and so we went and got in line for that job.
Yeah, Larry, feel free to jump in anytime, man. If we're talking about something, this seems like a two-way conversation right now.
Well, you're on that, and you mentioned it just a second ago that Wall has had a lot of success, really traditional, rich.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that I've taught out there the last year. And I think I have a clue what your answer might be here, but the people out in the audience, what is something that you see in the kids at Wall that has led to that success a little bit?
I just came from a parent meeting just now, and I just told them, something that's very unique in Wall, man. The community culture is so amazing. It's the support from home. I don't think people understand enough. If our kids don't play well, I understand that there may be some people upset, like, man, don't think the defense or or whatever played that well. But they also they may be upset at their kid, like were you playing as good as you can and up to your own standard. I think that that expectation of success is so important, because those kids go into those those seasons and those big games, and because they've seen it all the teams before them, the expectation is to go compete your end off and to go be successful and win, and more often than not the Hawks come out on that side of it.
Right. I've been on a lot of different sides. I've been with Wall at athletic events now as somewhat of a coach. I've been on the other side coaching against them, and something that you mentioned is with the community involvement that growing up, I'm a Mason guy, and they're on the schedule,
yeah.
and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just thought it was normal that every crowd, every community followed like that. You go to a Wall Hawk game, and it's going to be Wall green.
Oh, it's
the whole thing.
Yeah, no, the support, and again, it's unique in that you watch. I see mom and dad walk in the stadium. Behind them is their two parents. Right. It's those multiple generations, and some of those old fans of Wall that have been at every sporting event for the past 35, 40 years. I don't know if they realize it, but they make that setting pretty special, and they know our kids. You see them at track, you see them at basketball, and those diehard supporters that know all those families. It makes it feeds into it being a really special place for sure.
Yeah, it's tradition.
Oh, absolutely.
And tradition. You don't want to be the class that breaks the tradition.
Oh yeah, no.
It fuels it for sure.
I just told the parents. Wall was very successful before I ever got here. I've been here the past 7 years when they continue to have success, and I hope, I firmly believe when I'm done, the next guy in there is going to be very successful as well. Unless some of those circumstances and traits change, but the community culture and the talent is there. So I'm excited about the years ahead.
With that said, I do have to ask you this question. You are we're the head track coach. Is
Correct.
that going to continue as well, or are they going to kind of remove that from you since you are now the head coach, head football coach?
The plan right now is to keep wearing both hats. Again, in Wall, a lot of small schools, it'll be AD head football.
Right.
But I only go to basketball to support our kids. And there's games that I don't go to, or baseball games or whatever. But no, the current. I know in 2024, 2025, it'll be head football, head track, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I understand. Let's move a little bit into let's talk schemes and stuff like that. So you're obviously coming over from the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Are you going to continue to be, and we're not talking defense yet, but are you going to continue to be the DC out there, or are you going to kind of hand that off to somebody?
No, I'm going to continue to be the DC out there, and I'm trusting the offense to our coaching staff, and it's a guy. His name is Rob Blonderholm. Rob has coached there 15 plus years. He's definitely kind of been waiting in line for that job. Very good offensive mind. Coach Guy was awesome in that, he let me coach the defense, and, he didn't, nitpick me and oversee me, and that's really so important. And again, you want to guide a little bit if you need to, but I'm not going to stand over Rob's shoulder, and I did not like that third down call. That's not how we're going to be successful. Yeah. But Rob is going to be the guy, and we're going to open it up.
Yep. So let's go ahead and riff off that for just a moment. Obviously, I've heard some talk and whatnot that you're going to try to transition from the prototypical Wall, flex bone, whatever you option offense, to more of a spread-based offense. What? And obviously, without revealing too much. What's your intent for the offense this year?
We think we have some really good perimeter players right now, and we have some really good perimeter players coming up. The game changed a little bit in that you can no longer go cut those defensive backs down. And again, 3 years ago, when that option timed out perfect, it looked like you're ripping everybody's legs off, and just, well now, you can't do that block anymore. So we're going to go from it. If you watch Wall for the past 15 years, and again, amazing success and just tremendous football, it's been under center, much more controlled, and now we're going to try to get the ball to some of our perimeter players and a little more space to work. You're hoping that more open scheme doesn't mean more negative plays. Quarterback, bad snaps, quarterback sacks. Because again, with the flex bone, we've rarely been off schedule. And again, as a DC, I spend all week. We talk about how we're going to get teams off schedule. If we get them to 3rd and 12, that's a turnover down for us. So you want to be more explosive. Without more negative plays in there.
Right.
Larry, your thoughts on any questions, offensive changes?
A couple things that I pick up, and you once again, you hit it perfectly when you said there has been scheme changes with rule changes, and it's not just out on the perimeter. You can't. You can't be a wing back crack blocking a linebacker anymore. And I mean, I'm an old wing T guy.
Yeah.
That was all smoke and mirrors, and that was part of what made us good. Was all the blocks are angle blocks on the front line. You know, for the most part, you're not going to be man to man blocking somebody.
Yeah.
So with those angles, there was also cuts. Well, cuts aren't allowed anymore inside the tackle box. So the game has changed, and you got to change with it somehow. You know, if you can't go cut block, I'm not sure what the next.
It's definitely, again, just in the coach's office talking, it's made it harder to get the ball on the perimeter.
Right.
You know, with the scheme, you know that we've been doing, and you know, it's gonna be the same type of. You're hoping it's an outside run play when you stand up, throw that ball out there, and it's one dude versus one defender.
Yeah.
You know, and again, we like a lot of the matchups right now with our one-on-one. You know, it's and if you've watched Wall football, I mean, you'd have to be a fan, you know, for the sub-varsities, but our freshmen and JV teams the past few years, you know, they've played much more open. You know, I would be much more worried if we were going from straight under center and literally nobody in our program had taken a shotgun snap or, you know, we're thrown and caught.
Right.
But, you know, we have definitely done that on sub-varsity. And again, I know for people that maybe think, you know, man, that's interesting change. You know, last year we lost 3 games to Mason, Jim Nett, and Canadian. Well, in all 3 games, I'm sure people will be shocked. We threw the ball for more yards than we ran the ball. You know, just some of those better defenses. You know, just limited you somewhat. Right. And you know, and again with our skill kids, you know, we gave those kids a chance to make some plays, and even against those really quality football teams, they made those plays.
Right.
You know, and I want to add something else. You know, and you once again you brought it up, so I'm going to hit it a little bit, and that's negative plays. And I think that's something that as the game has evolved, I think fans have had to evolve a little bit too. Because when you're everybody's within the hash marks on an offense, a negative play is minus a yard under center. Where now, you know, you got a shotgun snap that could be 7, 8, 9, 10. If it really rolls and you go 3 Stooges and kick it, it could be 25 yards. But I think the ability also is kind of like being in Vegas, man. When you're rolling, you got a chance to lose, but you got a chance to win really big.
Yeah, no, you know, we think we have some really good perimeter players, and you're hoping more explosive plays because you're getting the ball in more space. You know, is the again, if you put it on the chalkboard, you know what we're the theory in it, and you know, now we need to be successful in doing that.
So talk a little bit about players. Let's you know, some of the ones you mentioned, varsity, sub-varsity guys coming up. Who has really? And I know it's early, probably way too early to talk. But who are some of the standouts? Who you think is going to really step up this year?
You know, I mean, it'll, you know, we're asking a lot from that quarterback position, and there's obviously fixing to be a new quarterback. We have a junior kid named Landon York that's your 6'3", you know, just your prototypical pocket passer, and he's the one, you know, he has the advantage right now, and then he played as a freshman, you know, played it as a sophomore, and he's got 2 more years left. You know, now Caleb Braden is a senior. Very cerebral, you know, played very little quarterback last year, you know, and he's a 1-year player. And, you know, I've had a one-on-one with Caleb. I'm like, hey, I want to be honest with you, that scale is slanted. You know what I mean? You know, you're going to have to be the best player there by a wide margin to not go with the kid, you know, that we've got to play in that system for 2 years. To Caleb's credit, Caleb's like, Coach, you know, whatever you need, you know, and, you know, just he's a very mature kid. But, you know, one of those two, you know, barring something crazy, will be the trigger man. You know, I think our running back will be a 2-headed monster with a senior kid named Thomas Leonis and a junior named Hagan Barbie. I think the biggest change will be a kid named Briggs Jones, who's, you know, Coach Holtz can tell you is just an absolute freak of an athlete on the track. You know, well, that kid is fixing to – I don't think Briggs is the type of kid that gets the ball 25 times, but he's the type of kid that gets the ball 13 times in space, you know, and he probably leads your team in yards, you know, because he's just getting explosive plays. Kellen Oliver's our best returning receiver, our most catches returning receiver. There's Reed Robertson, Levi King, you know, and we have Lane Stansbury. That there's some serious weapons right now that we're fixing to use. And on top of that, I think our offensive line, is going to be rock solid, including, linemen 6, 7, and 8, that are, pushing kids, for playing time and things like that.
So let's talk scheme just for a minute on that O-line. You mentioned that, and I had it in the back of my mind, and I was going to go there, and you brought it back. Thanks. Blocking schemes, for lack of a better term, how does that change between, running a flex bone, because you got specific blocking assignments in that flex bone, and then you completely change the offense, dropping back in a shotgun, pistol set, whatever it may be. How hard or how difficult is that for an O-lineman to learn the new blocking
It's definitely going to be different, and again, with a spread scheme, you don't want to lose your toughness. That there's a certain toughness that comes with, under center, and here we go, and but it's going to be a much more zone blocking scheme offensively, or your pass set, like you talk about. We haven't done a ton of pass set because most of our pass stuff, was play action, and all for our flex bone stuff. So no, it's those kids are going to have to to get used to a kick step, and you're giving a little ground. You're not blocking at that line of scrimmage. But again, in Wall, it's cerebral, tough kids, and they'll be good to go.
Yeah. Larry, sorry, I didn't mean to jump.
No, you're good.
I feel like you were going to ask that question.
Well, no, I wasn't asking that. There's a lot of you brought up Briggs Jones, and the one thing, and I know you're not wanting to put a lot out there, but Briggs is the type of kid with the type of speed that he has. Yeah, he may not get 25 touches, but what he's going to do and it's a defensive coordinator's nightmare because he's a mismatch on a safety because he's so fast. So even if he isn't touching the ball, he's creating a lot of touches for somebody else for that reason.
Yeah, he's a kid you'll move around in formation because coaches know. I mean, I would know who he is. And if you go 3-by-1 and Briggs is by himself, you just guaranteed yourself too high, and we're going to motion some of those mismatched kids out of the backfield. We're going to create, different opportunities for some of those playmakers.
And bringing up Caleb Braden again, I think he's also a guy that brings up some mismatches. I mean, and as an old defensive guy, I would hate to see him on the perimeter too because I know he can pass the ball and he can pass it well. So you've got a lot of pieces out there that can do a lot of really good stuff.
I feel very strong about how that position is going to be. I mean, there's a sophomore waiting in line that I feel very good about. If things didn't work out, Gunnar King is a kid that I know has a future in our program. But it's we love our options for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned Hagan Barbie and Briggs Jones. Larry and I, in the playoff last year especially, we talked, a lot about both of those young men and their performance on the field. With that said, let's move over. Anything else on offense, Larry? You want to
I could sit here and talk about each of the kids that he brought up because he's right. I mean, there's just a lot of – they all have their own gifts and they all bring something special to it that I think is really fun for you.
Real quick, like you're talking about how the game has changed, explosive plays again as a defensive guy is completely drive me nuts. We're very solid.
That's what you're trying to limit.
Yeah, our whole goal is you make them drive that ball for 14 plays. Because a penalty or a negative play. And we think some of those kids are going to make more explosive plays, which that's the name of the game.
Right. You want to put that defense in a hole. Speaking of defense, let's talk a little bit. Obviously, kind of your bread and butter, what you've made your name with here at Wall. Any changes at all you're going to go with on defense?
No, we're virtually, and I'm really glad, we changed to this stack last year after we played Canadian, because I didn't think that scheme was what we needed, to beat those guys. So I'm so glad that we're not changing all of it, this year. So we're leaving defense intact. Obviously, some kids will move around, but we're only changing the offensive scheme.
Returning players, obviously you lost some talent along that on that defense. Who has really stood out coming back?
Like a couple that have just, if you watch this play, that have just played at a super high level as long as they've been there. Brylan White's going to be a senior. Brylan absolutely, I don't think Brylan saw a play on JV his entire life. He started as a freshman, I believe, at that top level and played well. Ethan Mikowitz is an absolute beast in the middle of that defense. It's just one of those tackling machines. again, he's the type of kid, if you watch film, sometimes on Friday night, those plays all run together. If you're ever like, man, who made that tackle? The next day watching the film, it was Mikowicz, just rock solid. Lane Stansberry and Weston Scandalari will be two kids that also play on that defensive line. Holt Teplachek, our linebacking core, led by Mikowicz, is going to be Jacob Braden, Garrett Guy, Dylan Sellers, and they are all going to be really, really solid players for us. And all four of our secondary kids return. Last year, unfortunately, in Mason, we lost a really good player named Ryan Allen, who's just again, phenomenal player. Well, so all four of those kids that started the last 8 games of the year are back, and they're all rock solid.
Larry, this is your side of the ball. What you got?
Well, I mean, it's redundancy. I mean, Mikowicz is a beast. He was somebody that I noticed the first game last year, and as I got to know the kid, I'm more of a fan. He's he's everything that you want a linebacker to be. I think there's sometimes he'd rather hit you than talk to you. And that's what you want your Mike linebacker to be.
He always gets us in the right front, and he absolutely just plays his tail off every second, every game.
With defense, I think, and I spoke on it last year. During some of the games, there was an adjustment to the defense. It took a while, and the main adjustment is when you were going in a even front or 4 people down, you're forcing the ball in now on the line of scrimmage, and with that 3-3 stack, now your tackle is an inside shade. So now all of a sudden, all the force is happening a yard and a half up the field, so, and it took a while for y'all to adjust to that, and It's probably not much of a question as much as I want people to realize as you transition from one thing to another, there's going to be that learning curve. Kind of like you brought up the O-line earlier. You can still angle block, but now your angle block may be a half a yard on the offensive side instead of half a yard on the defensive side.
The defense, especially in Wall, we have so many really quality athletes. Put a plan together, get those kids, lined up, and let them play with great effort and intensity, and they do. Again, we try to teach very cerebral, 3rd and 19. We don't care about the 10-yard dagger route. There are certain things, and there are certain places I've worked where, that just those messages didn't go over the same. But it's a really good situation. We have and I think it'll help our offense in especially that tougher part of the schedule early in the season. There, the defense is going to play pretty solid. Right. You can hang your hat that you don't need 40 points to win this game. Right. We need sometimes a punt is a good possession. Sure. And that's what we'll keep selling that message. And going back to Jacob Braden, he's another guy that I'm really excited to watch this year after watching last year because he came up like game 4, maybe game 3 early, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was kind of early, but he didn't really start getting a lot of playing time till the later rounds of district. I mean, that's where he kind of became I won't say an ever down guy, but a more the down guy.
Has had a killer spring and summer. Right. That dude is going to be a monster.
Another year in this team. Right.
If anything, he may be quieter than Mikowicz, who's super quiet.
The
same type mentality kid for sure.
Yes, sir.
Well, you mentioned something just a minute ago, which leads us to transition into. Let's talk schedule for a minute.
Okay.
I was looking at the schedule and I was reading some stuff, and oh my dear sweet Lord, you have got a murderer's row
it'll be
of
interesting.
a non-district schedule.
Yeah, no, we're gonna find out about our football team, and we're gonna find out some things that we're not doing well, which is what you want in your pre-district. Yeah. I mean, again, we have a very strong team. Or I feel like we do, and we wanted them challenged. I mean, that's that schedule is all about winning. Weeks 3, 4, 5 of the playoffs. You want to push your kids, and that's going to. Our kids will rise up and play to that schedule, and I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. I have to ask this question. Going back, what makes you schedule? What in your mind? What makes you say, you know what? I'm gonna go get the Brownwood Lions. Week 2, a 4-H powerhouse.
My first ever home game. So yeah, that's what
let's do it. I mean, obviously, you want to challenge the young men.
I mean, again, Wall is unique in that we're tough geographically, and we're a good program. You know, so and I understand. I mean, you know, I've been on the other side when, you know, you maybe. Man, some years I'd like to play this in the year, you know, and you know, and again, there's not many schools here, you know, our size, and you know, and we're pretty good at sub varsity, you know, so I know, you know, just all the way across, you know, it's you know, it's a tough challenge for some schools that you know, I understand may not think their program is ready for it, or you know, or whatever, but anyway, man, you know, when you start putting that schedule together, you know, you get told, hey, no thanks, you know, quite a bit. And again, you know, and I understand, well, all of a sudden, you know, I actually called Brownwood. I called him, you know, like a month before, because I literally had nothing on my sheet of paper, you know, and I'm like, Coach, if y'all are looking, you know, I think we've got a pretty good group. And, you know, and again, and he may prove me wrong, but, you know, I don't think we're not going to embarrass ourselves. You know, we are going to show up and compete and play as good as we can play. And again, what the score means, I don't know, but I do know our kids respond. I mean, all summer long, I've walked by Jacob Braden, Ethan Mikowitz in the weight room, you know, Garrett Guy, man, I don't know if we're going to tackle that Brownwood running back or not. You know, and I mean, I say that to those kids knowing, yeah, you hide and watch. You know, I mean, you know, that their mentality is what I want it to be. But no, it really was. It was literally Brownwood week 2, hang in there and find somebody else, or you're going to Waco or Dallas-Fort Worth, well, then that kills your Thursday night game. Yeah. You know, because you want your sub-varsity guys to play, and you know, so no, that's going to be a big game. It's at our place, and we're going to play well.
Yeah. Larry, your thoughts on the schedule?
On the schedule, I love it. And for the reason that he said, you know, a lot of people, wins are great, and these guys are going to win. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Just I spent all spring with a lot of these guys. I know the metal that they're made of, but you don't win where you want to, which is winning in December, without being exposed at times early.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the offense, it's going to expose some people early as they learn the angles, or they learn how to create that separation, because I mean, kids are kids, that, you know.
And, you know, and you may learn this one isn't quite as good as we needed him to be.
Right.
You know, where sometimes that schedule, you know, you may just roll through it and you don't really, all of a sudden, you know, game 13, like, man, did he have a bad night, or, you know, have we just not seen that before? You know,
I mean, when I look at this schedule, the goal is to play at Jerry World. I mean, there is nobody, and I know you don't want me to throw that out there, I'm sure. I mean, I'm speaking for you, and I shouldn't do that either. But anybody that's ever coached, that's their goal. I mean, even when I was on an 0-10 team, the goal was to get there.
Yeah.
You don't get there by not playing number 16 in 3A Division I, number 10 in 3A Division I, number 22 in 4A Division II, or number 7 in 4A Division I. You don't get where you're trying to go.
Well, no, I agree. I mean, I want to challenge them. We want to be exposed. We want to see things we do well. But there is a little. I made sure that next week we're not going to hang our head or feel too good about yourself, because like Jim Ned, we'll get our very best. You know, that's a huge rival. You know, so I was much more comfortable taking that on in week 2, knowing no matter what happens, Saturday morning those kids are rolling into film. And it's Jim Ned week, you know, and again, that's a game that we know we want to play well in.
Right.
The one that I'm really looking forward to, other than Jim Ned, because I mean, Wall and Jim Ned that's a rivalry game. How did Idalou come about? Because Idalou was a second round 2 years ago, and they're traditionally in the playoffs.
Oh no, hey, they're
I mean, and they're going to be a good football team.
They will be very strong. You know how that one came out? You know, when the district first came out, it was, you know, Merkel, Grape Creek, you know, Stanton, Kahoma, Wall, and Compass Academy. Well, something Tornillo dropped football.
Right.
So UIL, like after the fact, which was a real nightmare because your schedule's already done, pulled Compass Academy, to that District 1, I think that's what it is. But pull those guys out there, so you're either going to be open in week 6 or open in week 9. Well, there's nobody week 9.
Right.
Maybe a loaded private, which I felt like we had all the challenge we needed at that point. But no, I knew Idalou was looking, so I called Coach White, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So that one kind of fell into your lap because I was really worried about a 9-game schedule, which I didn't want.
Right.
Because then I think you'll kind of get a little lax coming off of that, such a strong start to it. So no, that one, yeah, I'm glad that one worked out.
And it's homecoming, so
Absolutely.
that's even more exciting because that's going to be a good test.
Oh, dang right,
for the
yeah,
Hawks.
they can play.
I'm excited about that one for
Yeah.
sure.
Circling back, you mentioned homecoming. Let's talk a little bit. Let's go back, and we're going to bring this to a close here in a few minutes. We're running out of time, but let's talk crowd support. I know we mentioned that earlier. We mentioned support. I have never, and I'm talking. I've been at San Angelo Stadium when Central would pack the house. I've really never felt an environment. And I hope this doesn't make Central fans mad. So, but I've never,
or me.
I've never felt an environment quite like Wall. It's absolutely unbelievable, the crowd support.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be 400 people, but it's 400 loud and supportive people. What does that do for you as a coaching staff, for those on the field, knowing that they've got everybody, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, what I mean?
No, it's awesome. And, I tell the kids all the time, like, those people will cheer like crazy if we give them any reason at all to, and, another thing I think is neat, man, our student body is so awesome, and they get into it, and then, and again, our crowd, our student body is going to love that schedule. I mean, those games, those home games are going to be absolutely phenomenal football games to watch and be a part of. And again, coaching, I mean, I guarantee you, Coach Host, on those Friday nights will be like, man, that'd be fun to be down there, doing that, because it's that environment is something you love being a part of, and it's going to be. I'm super excited to watch, to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the fans, or the student body, and what going out there, I enjoy watching them is they have fun, but they do it the right way.
Yeah, no, they're awesome.
I mean, they are really a lot of fun to watch because they get loud, they get raucous, but they do it the right way.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's a very, very supported program and a great program to lead.
For sure.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I enjoy going out there calling games. Just again because of the environment.
Yeah.
Hey, if you've never been to a small school football game here in Texas, you need to go to that Wall Hawk games. You need to show up. Great crowd. I'm talking right to whoever, whenever you're watching this, whoever's watching this, whatever time, get online, get the schedule, and you need to go to a Wall Hawk football game. You will not regret it. I promise you. There's good barbecue. There's all kinds of good stuff out there. Anyway, so let's get back on track here.
Hey, 6 home games for you this year, so pick any of them. Come on out.
Yeah,
6 very good home games.
I think we've talked about that significantly. Coach, anything else you'd like to add? Anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I just we know there's going to be some growing pains at times. We know the program is great, greatly supported. And that's from admin, the community, the parents. I mean, you name it. Just thrilled and excited, and I hope the kids are excited as we are.
Yeah, Coach Larry, what else you got? You got anything else to add?
There may be some growing pains early on, but once again, we go back to where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Growing pains and negatives aren't necessarily bad in this world.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I saw last year when I was around you a lot. There's nothing wrong with mistakes. There's nothing wrong with problems. There's nothing wrong with negatives because you don't grow if you don't ever face that adversity, and that's what I love about this schedule early on.
Hey, it's a schedule I wouldn't have put together when I was 35. I would have been worried about it. I'm 50. I'm going to coach, the same way I coach, in my past, and I know. I trust our kids. I trust our program. I trust the coaches, I'm with, and we're gonna go get after it.
All right.
Something hit me last night when I was thinking about this interview. It comes from J.P. Young. He was the author of The Shack, right? And he asked one of the characters, Mac, at one part in the book, you know, how do you believe man was designed to live in the past, the present, or the future? Now, I think all of us sitting at this table would say we were designed to live in the present. But how often do we find ourselves worried about what happened in the past or trying to control what's going to happen in the future?
Yeah.
Instead of just living right there in that present. And that was one of the things, coaching, you know, if we just live in that present, love that practice, the future will take care of itself and we won't have to worry about the past.
Another one of my sayings all the time is be where your feet are. You know, I don't want kids walking by the gym when basketball starts going, oh, man, you know, I mean, I want us 100%, you know, locked in, focused up, and you know, be where our feet are and enjoy the moment and enjoy what we're working to accomplish every day.
Right. And I appreciate y'all bearing with me with that. I don't know why that hit me last night, but I guess that's the old coach in me. Huh?
Well, I want to thank you all for joining, watching. Coach, I want to say thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to a great season of Wall Hawk football.
Me too. Come on out.
Amen. Looking forward to it. I'm Russ Howard. He's Larry Holscher. Coach Slaughter, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, get online, get the schedule, get out there to Wall Hawk Stadium. You won't regret it, I promise you. Take care. Good night. God bless.